Alright, so we've got this size calculator up. I'm not going to bother with the style sheet. I'm just going to focus on using an input, because that's we're going to have something where we can enter data into a web page. Now the type of data I am collecting, you can do text, you can do like a date, you can see down here, but we are going to do number. The name of it's going to be is size. Not that it's terribly important actually to use that. The main one that we're going to need is an ID, so that way we can, with JavaScript, grab the value by ID. So I'm going to call it size data because that's what it is. Now effectively I want to be able to kind of hit run when I want to do something, and I don't want it doing it every time I'm getting this, because this is effectively as a form. So let's just like run this and you can see what we've got so far. It's exciting stuff. But I've got this, there's my heading, and I've got my thing here that I can enter numbers in. Try and enter letters and it literally won't let you punch letters in, it has to be a number. So that's what that filters, which is cool. It stops people trying to go like, 45 centimeters, and they can't type centimeters. But if we put a button on the end, does not have caps lock on. So if I put a button on the end in here, this is what I'm going to use for my submission, because what I don't want to have to deal with is type submit. That's the one. And I'll give it a name. No, value, sorry. I think it's value. Submit. I'll say right. This. Oh, do I write in there? Submit. Alright, okay, I'll write in there. Value, alright. So, just check. Alright, I don't think we actually need this, to be perfectly frank. And the version I'd done, I actually made this another input and made it a type button. But I think we can roll with this because I think this will work just fine too. So yeah, we've got this here. Now effectively I can type in a number and then hit submit. What we need to do is this here is on click equals speech mark. Okay, so that's what we're gonna run a function. So we're just gonna call the function as if we already knew what the function name was going to be called, and I'm gonna call I'll call it calculate. Let me just zoom out a wee bit. Okay, so we want to calculate, so I'll just double take this name, double click to take a name, sorry. Alright, in the head there I'm going to do the script tags. Right, function, the name I took. Right, so we can do this. So well, if we want to just test that it's working, yeah, alert right. So I'm just doing a quick little message that's going to pop up. So now if I'll just refresh this, make sure it's all come through. So I can type something in and then hit submit, and it says function runs. Okay, so you can tell from when I'm clicking on here, it's going through there. So one of the things you're going to need to do is effectively what we're trying to do is get the value for this here. So I might say size, I might call it data, var data equals whatever's chucked in here. And the trick is like, well, how do I get that? So we've got this thing here is the ID. So I can say document to always start, get element by ID. So the ID here is size data, so I'll go size data. Right, so I've got it. I've grabbed that. I've grabbed this, but I haven't actually got the number that was been typed in. So I go dot value. Dot value. Okay, returns the sets values of the current node, which this thing here is considered a node. Okay. So I could then go alert and go just as a quick test to see if it's working. I mean, you can do console log and all that kind of stuff as well, but might as well just while we're here. The number typed in is space data, right? So let's refresh this. Type in 22. Let me type something in. 22. Why is it not letting me type something in? Alright, that's weird. Let's see what's going on here. There's no issue. Okay, fine. Let me click then. 22. Submit. Yep, so it's all working, so I don't know why it wasn't. I'll just blame my trackpad. It's fun at the best of times. That's probably another thing actually just to raise. What you can do is I can type in like a variable name and hit enter, and okay, not picked it up. I'm curious as to why, but anyway, but you can do this to force it, or that's where your console logs will spit out. Right, so effectively the rest of it's actually relatively straightforward. So I can say if I'll just put a real basic one. Data is less than 42. I'm going to say, oh, right, okay, that's the other bit. So I want to push, like text, I actually want to, on here, actually push and actually spit some words out. So I'm going to do an empty P with an ID of answer. You might be wondering, why is he always using IDs? Why can't I use classes? I can use classes because I can get element by class name, but you can only in like a JavaScript code, you can only kind of call, like say if you're trying to push something to an element, you're using a class name, you can only do that once. Like if you've got two classes, it's only going to take one of them. Otherwise, you have to loop through and do the code quite differently. So normally a function can only really be run like once using one ID. So it just kind of simplifies things down a wee bit. But yes, you can definitely use classes, and you can get multiple classes to pick up on a thing. But yeah, the approach is a little bit different. Right. So if data, so if the number I typed in is less than 42, then I'm going to say document dot inner HTML dot get element. Maybe it's get element by ID. Get element by ID. And this is going to be answer dot inner HTML. There you go. So I knew it wasn't feeling right in my head. Okay, so I'm getting it, the ID, right? And then I'm saying now I want it to basically push something to an actual HTML element. That's what the inner thing means. So I can then say in here then in a string, your size is smaller, because I'm just doing a really basic one, else, because they're obviously going to be larger, then I'm just duplicate that and push that down and say your size is larger. Right, and then I'll show you my finished one. That's kind of got the full set where I've gone through all the size things. Obviously you can look up a size chart and see where all this stuff comes from. But okay, so I'm going to type in 22, submit, your size is smaller. So physically push that content there. Then I could retype it here and go 55, size, submit, your size is larger. Okay, so it's coming through. But if you want to see the full one, this one here, let's zoom out a wee bit. Oops, size of spacing thing. Let's. Oh. Oh, jeepers. Just stay there then. Who cares? Ah, of course. Okay. So, in terms of this here, same function, same get element, dot value. And then I've just basically said if this size, if this, and I've just made sure I've caught everything with that, and then that pushes it up, and I've just done all the sizes down here basically. Very same thing here, and I've just made sure my title's a little bit more accurate. This here was done with an input type of button with a value of submit, so that value there is what literally put. So if I run this one, that's what put the word there, but in my other version I actually just made a button tag, and then I just typed the word in between the two brackets, and still did the same code. So you can see like there's a little bit of flexibility in this, but yeah, so that's it there. But it's this inner HTML, particularly if you want it to go somewhere, you kind of almost need like a blank ID sat there, empty, for you to put that stuff in and set there waiting there. Otherwise it's not really knowing where to go. Like when you're doing that, you kind of it's just going to assign a default place, and you're going to hope that that's okay. So yeah, so that's doing a size calculator.